Hi everyone, Zach here, and welcome to lesson 21 in this series on developing a survival game. In this video, we'll be finishing out our inventory menu, and thus have full functionality for our inventory system. This is the last video that we need to do to get our inventory system fully working. The next video will take care of our encumbrance system as it relates to our inventory system. In addition, I am releasing a bonus video with this one that will be released the same day. So enjoy that video. And with that said, remember, this series is brought to you by my Patreon sponsors. And with that said, open up your projects and let's get started. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the editor for the final video in this section on creating our inventory system. That said, there might be a bonus video depending on how long this takes us to do. So if we're under 30 minutes, we will actually have that part in here. If we're over 30 minutes, we'll do a bonus video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my core, going to go to my widgets, going to go to my WBP inventory UI. And in here, we're going to finally spawn in all those other widgets. So we have them all right here under our user created widgets. And we have our menu. Let's start there. So we're going to take our inventory menu. We're just going to drop that onto our canvas panel. Sorry, I took a minute to remember where that is. And notice something weird here. There's that little box. Well, for all of these, what you need to do is size to content. And we are going to position this with an anchor on the center left. We are going to set the alignment, and this is why I mentioned you have to follow my numbers. And again, this is where you do need to follow my numbers. You can tinker with them later on to 140 by -75. That way we're sort of centered with everything. And then because in reality what we're going to do is we are going to have this hidden. We are going to find the visibility and set it to hidden. And what that means is it's going to look like that. I'm going to leave it visible just for now. The next thing we're going to do is our discard menu. So let's grab our discard menu, drop it into our canvas panel. And again, notice we have that weirdness. Well, that's because we need, oh, sorry, actually go back to your inventory menu before we fix the weirdness. We want this to make sure this one is variable. For our discard menu, interesting. It also is already set to as variable. We wanted that as well. Size to content. Sorry, I'm saying interesting because in an updated version of the engine, they show up slightly differently for some reason. We're going to set the alignment and position X. Sorry, we're going to set position X to 0. Position Y to 350. And then we're going to do our size, just to be on the safe side, 450 by 300. And we're going to set our position X alignment to 0.5, so we're actually centered. And we do need all this space for our equipment system. Again, we are going to default this to hidden. All right, this one I actually am going to hide because we need to be able to see what we're doing. After that, we are going to have our split stack. And literally, it's going to have the same settings as the last one. So we're going to put it in, select it, size to content, center. We are going to move this to 0 by 350 by 450 for size, 300, 0.5. Literally all the same settings we just did, and hidden. I am going to also hide this one because I need to be able to see what I'm doing. And the next one we're going to do is our item detail. So let's find our items detail, drop that into our canvas panel, select it, size to content, center anchor, and this one is going to be slightly different. It's going to be 35 minus 175. Actually, sorry, we're going to set this to center anchor, 35 minus 175. We are going to do 450. Actually, it's 500. Wow, it's 500 now, and I believe I'm actually just going to pop it open. Oh, I can't pop it open that way in this version of the engine. How sad. That's discard. I don't want discard. I want our item details. And our size box here is 400. So we're going to set size Y to 400 just to be on the safe side. Our alignment will be 0.5. So we are, again, centered. This one's actually going to hug very close to our inventory and to our equipment menu because of the size of it. Again, we want this to be hidden. I am going to leave this one, I'm going to leave this one open for the next section. So that takes care of setting most of this up. What we need to do, though, is go into our event graph and actually set this up so that we can use these menus. So what we're going to do is on our event construct, we're going to have an event here that updates our menus. So I'm going to just take this close button, move it up here for a moment. So we have an event that sets up our inventory. We're now going to have a custom event that sets up our menu. So it's set update inventory, set update inventory menus. All right. And very quickly on our event construct, set update inventory, set update. Hell if I can spell things today. There we go. All right, let's scroll down back to our set update inventory menus. What we're going to do is we are going to take our inventory actor. We're just going to get it and leave it here for a minute. And then we're going to take our item menu. We're going to put it in a category called menus. And we are going to get it. We are going to set references. And for our inventory actor, what we're going to do is we are going to plug in our inventory actor. For inventory widget, we're going to do self because it's this widget that we're passing into the other ones. Line those up, put some reroutes in because we are going to use these nodes multiple times. Next, we have our discard item menu, which will go into menus. We will get it. We will do our set inventory reference. For this one, all we need is the inventory actor. Put another reroute in. Align those back up. We have our split stack. So let's grab our split stack and put this in menus. We are going to grab it, and we're going to have the same setup here of set inventory reference. You can do this in a different order if you want, actually. If you find it easier to have the self together, because self will be the start and end, because we only have two that actually need to know about this widget, then go for it. Plug that into there. So in other words, order doesn't matter. So long as all of these get called at some point, we're good. For this final one, we're going to, again, put it in menus. And this is our item details. We're going to get it. We are going to do our set up. Ooh. I lied. We don't have anything else to do here. We do need the self for another thing. That's for our equipment. So this takes care of our menus for the most part, updating them. Let's find our close event and bring it back down here. Okay. So on close, what we're going to do is we are going to come in here and we are going to just grab any one of these ones. And we're going to do set visibility. And we're going to set it to hidden. The reason why is, well, if we close the menu while it's open and we haven't hidden it, it's going to show back up when we open the menu. So hidden. Then I'm going to grab my inventory menu and plug it into the same thing. So you can have multiple pins in there. Item details goes right in there as well. Our split stack goes in there as well. Okay. So with that done, hey, cool. Next, what I want to do is I want to set a function up called set inventory panel enabled. So set inventory panel enabled. And this will be able to mean, so this is where I said earlier, when we click an item, we don't want to be able to click other items. This is how we do that. We are going to take our inventory panel. We are going to do set is enabled. And we're going to pass this Boolean, or we're going to pass an argument in for this Boolean. And I just have a return node here. So all those things where I said, hey, we're going to have to set this or do a little thing before we finish out, that's this bit. I'm going to move this to the end because the remove parent is the last thing we do. So we're going to set inventory panel enabled to true, because when we open a menu, we're going to set this to false. When we close everything, we want to sort of reset to our base state. And we're going to have another one of these for the equipment panel too. So we'll have that over here, but we'll take care of that, of course, in section 3. Next, we're going to do a custom event called move item menu. So we want the item menu to show up in relation to the item we click on. So what we need to do for this is know which one have we clicked on. So we need a slot reference. And this will be our slot. It will be our WBP inventory slot. And what we're going to do is we are going to set our render target. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to find our menu on this list, so the inventory menu. We are going to set render, I didn't mean target, I meant translation. We're going to set render translation. And we have this XY value that is a 2D vector. And how are we going to calculate this out? Well, we're going to do a function that will collapse down, so I'm just going to give myself a bit of space. We are going to take the slot, and we're going to do slot as uniform grid slot. And what we want to do is we want to know where in the uniform grid it is. So we're going to get column. And also we want to know its row. So we are going to get row as well once I move these nodes over. Get row. Don't worry about cleaning up too much because we are going to collapse this down to a function. And we're going to offset everything by half the size, a little bit less than half the size of our icons. So remember, our icons are, how big are our icons again? Let's just go look at them real quick because I'm blinking after a while of doing this. It's actually, no, we're going to offset it by the size of our icons completely. It's 124. For some reason, I was thinking it was 125. Let's go back to our UI here, or to our event graph. We are going to offset by our icon size. So float, or integer times integer. And 124. I'm just going to duplicate this node with Control W down here. Plug that in. Hey, I know I said don't worry about cleaning up, but hey. The next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to bring this over a bit. I'm going to move it back in a moment. I'm just going to make vector 2D. So what we're going to do is we are going to just plug directly from our column into our X. For our Y, we have to just adjust it ever so slightly. So we're going to do float minus float. And we're going to take the top part of this float and plug directly into here. And because I do want all this to line up nicely when I collapse to a graph, I am going to just line that up a bit. For our minus, what we're going to do is a float divided by float. And we want just over half of the, or 150% of our size. So it's going to be 150. And what we're going to do is base this off the scroll offset. Because remember, we can scroll in our inventory menu. We have a scroll box hidden in here. See? Scroll box. So we're going to take our inventory scroll box. We are going to get our scroll offset. And we are going to account for that scroll offset here. So all we're doing is taking the size of our icon in the X, passing it through. We're taking it in the Y and adjusting for our scroll offset. So the more items you have, the farther down the menu this is actually going to show up. So that if you're scrolled down the menu, hey, it's showing up next to the item. I'm going to collapse this to a function called calculate menu location. It will be a pure widget. And I'm not going to rename anything in it. I'm just going to move this all back here. There we go. Let's pop it open. I'm actually kind of happy with that. I'm not going to worry about how it looks. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to come off of this inventory menu again. And we are going to run our update menu event. Which one are we running it for? Well, we're running it for the slot we just selected. So how do we get the index? Well, remember that when we create our slots up here in our set thing, we pass the index value in based on the array. So it's stored in our slot, in other words. Just going to pull that down this way, pull off of here, not pull the entire reroute, pull off this reroute and do index ref and get it. I'm going to take another reroute, line these two up, and I'm going to take this index ref, and I'm just going to plug it into there. I'm going to move this to the right a tiny bit. Okay, that was a fair amount, actually. Plug another reroute in, line those up, and finally, I want this menu to show up on screen. So I'm going to do set visibility visible. So now our menu should pop up. Let's test this to make sure it works. We won't have any functionality yet. Don't worry about that. Hit play. Let's go to this item. Let's click it. Uh-oh. Why isn't it working? Yeah, that error is related to the hover thing. Well, it isn't working because I skipped a step. Let's go over to our inventory slot. And what we need to do is we need to actually trigger what happens when we click the button. That is the one thing we haven't done yet here. So we have the hovered stuff set up and the unhovered. Well, we need to select our button again, and we need an on-clicked event. When we do an on-clicked, we are going to set our data to be not available. So in other words, that we will fail this check up here. So data is no longer available when we've clicked on it. And we are going to get our inventory actor, sorry, not our inventory actor, our inventory widget reference. And we are going to do our move item menu. Sorry, I paused because I'm going to add something in between these two that we haven't done yet. So I'm going to give us a bit of space there. And I am then going to, for my inventory, very quickly, before I fill in the slot, which is really easy to fill in, I am going to set inventory panel enabled to false. So we can't click on anything else until we close this out. As for our slot, well, what I'm going to do for that is just pull off of here, and, well, we're in the slot, so it's self. There we go. Or this. I really wish they had just named it this. Walk up to the item, test it. Oh, okay. Well, what's going wrong here? Let's add a breakpoint. Step through. Set that. Looks like our inventory ref is empty. So, yep. Let's make sure that we are filling our inventory ref. Our inventory reference should be something that's being passed in, actually. So let's go to our menu here. Let's go to our set inventory slots up, set inventory slot. Ah, no, we didn't do this yet. Set self into inventory widget reference. And now, fingers crossed, I know that the breakpoint's still there. Remove, resume. There we go. There we go. Eat, discard, cancel. So we hit eat, nothing happens yet. Notice that when menu closes that we don't actually get our functionality back yet, but hey, we'll take care of that in a moment. So we have our menu showing up at least. That's what I was hopeful and looking for. Let's go back to our inventory UI, and what we're going to do is we are going to do a event called, get rid of this get inventory slot bit, calculate, get rid of that, just so we have the event graph open only. We are going to do an event called run, so custom event first, sorry, run update slot. What we are going to do is have an index, so our old friend index ref, and what this is going to do is if we change anything in our inventory, we're going to trigger this so that everything on that slot gets updated, or slots, if there's more than one, get updated. We are going to take our inventory slots, there it is, and we are going to get a copy at that index, and we are going to update slot. And we'll have more on this in the next section related to equipment. Just move that there. All right, let's take care of some other stuff before we tackle why we can't get the menu back open, because that's the thing I said, hey, we have all these steps when we close the menu. That's that step, is making the thing visible. I think if we just take care of some other stuff first, this just will flow a little bit better. So we're going to create a new function. I did not mean to click twice, called display details. And what we're going to do is we are going to get our item details menu here. We are going to set visibility. We are going to pass that into there. We're going to take the invisibility, pass that back there. That sounds like I'm saying invisibility instead of the in setting. Put a return node in. Break that for a moment. Line these up, unbreak that. There we go. Compile. We don't need to save if you have the setup that I have. Next, what we want to do for our display of details is set display details. And let's get our details menu again. And we're going to do update description. We are going to get the amount. We are going to get the stack details or item details and a return node. All right, there we go. And we're pretty much done in this function, by the way. What we want to do is we want to then trigger these events. By the way, sorry if you can hear my radiators in the background. They're still, yeah, they need to be blood again. What we're going to do is go back to our items details. In our graph, well, not our item details, in our inventory slot. After we do all these checks, if we can get the item description, we're going to take the inventory widget and we're going to communicate to the menu the details through our inventory widget and those functions we just created. So display details, we want it to be visible. And again, we're going to come off of this and we want to set those details. So set display details. And we have all the information about those details inside of our slot. We have our item details and we have our stack amount. All right. We're going to take this node and the display details node. For our unhovered, we're just going to duplicate them down here. If we unhover, then we want to set visibility to hidden. We want to plug the target into there. Not what I wanted to do. And on our onClicked event, just in case the menu is opened up, we're going to do the same thing here. In fact, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this back this way and plug this reroute into there. Line all of that up. Plug that into there. Plug that into there. All right, so now if we test this, hit play, pick up our meat cube, mouse over it, meat-like product. A meat-like product that is very filling. Meat cube. Let's pick up that. Now, there should be no details in here. It should just say line 1, 2, 3, 4. And the more important part, though, is the top. Herb test. We have 25 in the stack, and it's confirming there are 25. So we have our item details showing up. Next, let's go to our discard item. Let's open up discard item. And let's make sure we have everything in here set up. I'm just going to move the event graph to the far right, close tabs to the right. Actually, I just unclose all other tabs. So on our cancel button, what we're going to do is we are going to get our, you know what? I don't like how I have the setup in the prep file. We're going to break this. We are going to create a new reference here called inventory widget ref. We are going to set this to be our WBP inventory UI. And it looks like we're going to have to go back to our inventory UI. That's not what I wanted to do. Set it. Pass it into there. Just going to double check that I put the right one in. Put a reroute in. Line those up. Plug that back in. Looks like we'll be doing the bonus video, by the way. We're going to put this into references. We are going to get it. We are going to do set enable inventory panel, or set inventory panel enabled. And we're going to mark this as true on canceled. There we go. Plug that into there. For our confirm, we are going to do the same thing up here after we've done the discard event, though. And that takes care of our confirm and cancel buttons. All right, go ahead and save that out. We're done with this. We're going to repeat everything we literally just did inside of our split stack. By the way, in the prep file, I actually had it communicating through the player for some reason. This is just cleaner this way. We don't need to have 4 blueprints involved. All right, so this will be our inventory widget ref of type BP inventory UI. This will be a references. There we go. Set. Plug in, put a reroute in, reconnect our return pin, and go back to the event graph, rinse, repeat everything we just did. So we're going to take our inventory widget reference, we're going to get it, we're going to set inventory panel enabled. Mark that as true. Don't double click like I just did. Plug that in. Make sure you actually make the right spot with that. Paste that up in the true branch off the after the fact we've run the split item. Plug that in. Plug that in. And there's our confirm and cancel buttons. Compile, save. Go back to your main UI for a moment. Go to, stay in the graph, sorry. Go to the main graph. And now where we have all these things, we're going to plug self into there, put a reroute in. So wondering why we didn't have inventory references in here. Like always, yeah. All right. Again, the way I did it in the prep file is it communicates through the player, but that adds in an extra step, and that's bad encapsulation. That's all I have to say on that point. All right, and let's go to our inventory menu. In here, just gonna close all tabs. Okay, it's one on the right. On our cancel button, well, we're gonna do what I mentioned earlier and what we've done already. We're gonna get our inventory widget reference. We're gonna set inventory panel enabled and mark that as true. Plug that in. Plug that in. All I have is a Glade commercial in my head. Plug it in, plug it in. Yeah, I can't remember the tune. It's been ages. Likewise, when we hit the use button after the run use has been triggered, that goes off again. There we go. I don't like how close those are together, so I'm going to move you down there. All right, as for our, I'm going to duplicate it one more time. As for our discard, when we've done a single item, we want to reactivate our menu. As for our other one, our true, when we have multiple items, well, what we're going to do is we are going to go to our parent widget. Through the parent widget, we're going to ask it to get the discard item menu. In the discard item menu, don't worry about cleaning this up. We're going to collapse this down to a function. We're going to do update discard. I feel like I want to say Discord every time I say that. Again, don't worry about cleaning this up. For our index, we have an index reference. So let's get our placement, plug index into there. The next thing we want to do is we want to set visibility. We want this to be visible. We want then to disable the use of the inventory panel, so we can't open the inventory panel a second time with this menu open. So we're going to duplicate our set inventory panel enabled, mark it as false, and then we are going to set the visibility of this menu itself to hidden. So I'm just going to take that node and duplicate it here. And now I'm going to take all of these nodes on the true branch, and I'm going to call this my spawn discard menu. Let's just pop this open, take a look at it. Let's clean it up a bit, because yikes. I'm just going to move things that way for a moment. Going to line those up. I did not mean to line up all those nodes. I meant to line up those 3. Move that there. Now I'm going to take all those nodes minus index ref. Move it down, move this reroute to the right, and put the index ref under there. Next, I am going to put a return node in. That's it. All right, compile, save, back. I don't need to save. I got to remind myself of that every single time. So what else do we need to do? We need to do our split stack. So let's find our component, our split stack button. We'll do an on-clicked event again. We're going to duplicate this branch with its condition. And we're going to kind of just honestly take our spawn discard menu, kind of honestly. We are going to take our discard menu, duplicate it, and it's our spawn split menu. Break this just for a moment. Delete that for a moment because that won't actually work, even though it has the same name. WBP split stack. Plug that into there. That should connect. There we go. Line. Really? Really? You're gonna... Thank you. And then it's update. Going the wrong direction. Update split. And yes, for some reason the direction actually matters. Turns it into a setter reroute instead of a getter. Go figure. Plug that in. We want this hit visible. We want the menu disabled. And we want to hide the item menu itself. So we want the inventory window disabled. Grab the split menu, plug it into there. And, well, I believe we are done. Let's test this just to make sure. Let's go here. Let's try our eat button. No, eat doesn't work. Let's try our discard. Discard partially works. We saw it spawn back in the world. Let's see if I can pick it up. Well, for some reason. Oh, hey, no, I know what's missing. Let's hit that. Let's split our stack. So split stack for some reason isn't getting the correct information. Let's take care of why that is. So join me in the split stack menu. And in our split stack, what we want to do is put a breakpoint on the update split. Let's hit play. Just gonna pick up the cube, ignore it for a moment though, pick that up and hit split. Step through, index is 2. Step through here. And what I wanna know is why our text isn't being set. We're gonna step over this. I'm gonna go forward 1 frame. That was not the frame I meant to go forward on. Something, however, went wrong there. Let's go back to our split stack. Yeah. Anyone see the issue? Take all of these nodes, select them. We're gonna break this. And we're gonna just also select these 2 reroutes. We're gonna move this down just slightly. This is probably a little too much. Is empty. That's false. So we're gonna run off the false branch here. Now let's test it. Also, nope. That means the same mistake exists in here. No wonder we were having some fun stuff with that. Plug that in, line it up. Still, the discard isn't gonna fully work. You're gonna see the item still in the inventory for a moment, but hey, what ho, we'll take care of that in a moment. Discard, if I close the menu out and reopen it, there it is. If I do our split stack, get rid of this breakpoint, hit resume. It has split. Again, close the menu. There's the 8 and 17. It found the first available slot for the 8. So let's take care of those updates on the menu. So way back when we were working on our inventory, we created a thing that we never populated. This update inventory. We're now going to do that. So to do this, what we're going to do is go to our interfaces. Of all places, our player character, because we're going to use our player character to communicate, because the player character has hard references between these. And we're going to create a new function called, or new event, not function, called trigger update slot. Trigger update slot is going to be a widget related function. It will have our dear old friend of index ref. And let's find our integer, plug that in, go to your character, so core, character, first person, and there, what we're going to do is we're going to trigger this event. So let's find where all of our inventory stuff is. It's the widget related stuff, so we're going to do it on the right hand side of our inventory stuff. Left hand side is the actor world stuff, right hand side is the widget related stuff. That's kind of the layout I'm using. If you have a different layout you want to use, whatever works for you. So what we are going to do is right click, trigger, update, slot, event type, not the other ones. All right. You know what? I'm going to just move this to the right a tiny bit so I can actually line them all up nicely. This one will be our inventory widget. And I think we've already set this up in our widget, but if we haven't, then we'll double check. run update slot. Yeah, we have. Awesome. At what index? Well, whatever index we're passing in. And remember, we've already set that index pass in up in our inventory master. So we will then trigger this. So let's hit play. Pick up these two items. Let's discard that item. The menu didn't close after discarding. That is weird. Okay, let's work out what's going on there. What's going on there, by the way, is I'm an idiot, and I pulled my usual stunt. We actually haven't called this. So, get player character, and from here, trigger update slot at that index. Plug that in. You'd imagine after doing this so many times that I would remember to do that. Discard. We'll take care of the fact the menu isn't closing. Split. All right, we have a bit of an issue there. We'll take care of that as well. However, if we close and reopen, it does actually get the information. So this is really, really simple. Again, I skipped implementing something. Again, my usual trick. We're going to go to our menu. Where is our menu? And in our menu, we have this discard single item. Let's clean that up a bit. What we don't do is hide the... Item removed. Set visibility should be true. We want to hide it there, not on false. Add a return node. I did implement it. I implemented it incorrectly. So when we come up here, pick that up, hit discard. There we go. We can do that again. Hit cancel. Menu is still acceptable now. And now let's try make sure this when we discard an amount here that this works. We're going to discard 6. Notice that's updated. Close that out. Let's pick this back up. Okay, it's rolling away from me. Get back here. There we go. I picked it up, and we can split it. All right, so we have two things we need to take care of. Why that split isn't showing up correctly, and our consume event. Let's take care of the split first. So the solution to this is something I mentioned earlier on, actually, in our inventory. We go to our split stack. I said we're going to have an event that happens over here down the road. Well, we need to go back to our interface here and set that event up. And that is going to be another event that communicates between our player, the inventory, and the menu, or the inventory widget. And that's trigger setup inventory slots. We're actually going to respawn the slots in the game. This is an event. We don't have anything that goes into it. We're going to go to our first person character here. And in our first person character, we are going to type in trigger setup inventory slots event. We're going to get our widget blueprint here and reference that is. And we're going to do setup inventory. There we go. Plug that into there. Go back to our split stack, our inventory. Get player character. From player character, what we're going to do is trigger setup inventory. Plug that in. Plug that in. Plug it in, plug it in. If I get a copyright strike for that, I'll be really sad. And now we can test this out. So let's hit play. Okay, pick that up. Pick up our splittable one, split stack. If I can click the right spot, and there we go. And finally, the last little bit we need to take care of that I can remember from the section is the onConsumed event. And for that, it's really easy, because again, I mentioned in a previous video, hey, we have more setup to do. Let's go to our BP Food Master. Sorry, I was just making sure I had actually skipped that. I hadn't set that up earlier, because I was paranoid I had, but yeah, no, I hadn't. I made a mention of it. What we're going to do here is we need to take care of this index. We need to, actually, really quickly, I just want to show you something. We're going to wait a moment. I just want to wait until we can see that our hunger bar is dropping down. There. You can see it's decreased. Right? Watch the hunger bar. It's increased. We are consuming the food, but we have to discard the item. So what we're going to do is we are going to just move this way for a moment. take the increase amount, leave it there though. Put a reroute in here, and we are going to get inventory actor. We want the, I think this is the right one. Yes, player character. If it does not say target is I player character, you have the wrong one. You have the one for the inventory itself, in which case we don't have a target we can use. Plug from there. Now we're going to do run discard item. Or, yeah, run discard item, the message. What are we going to do? We are going to discard an amount of 1 at this index. Just plug straight into there. Don't worry about the reroutes. We'll do that later. And we will do a branch. And just to be on the safe side, we're going to destroy actor. There we go. Take all of these nodes now. Collapse to function. Consume food. All right. Now we can put our reroutes in. Yeah, I'm always going to be putting these reroutes in just to make things easier to follow and read. Line those up. Put a return node in. And let's go back to our event graph. Let's put a couple more return nodes in because yikes. There we go. We are all set. So, just really quickly, I'm going to go to the player. Going to find our stats, our hunger. Set our hunger to 50. So we're half full. Again, think about better abstraction for that. Hit play. Walk up to this item. Eat. Notice the bar is now full. Gonna walk up to this item. I'm going to eat one of them. I'm gonna try to eat again. It won't because I am currently full. I am going to discard 4 of them. Apparently, I am going to split a stack into 10 and 10. And now when I pick one of these up, I should have 14. 14 and 10. So, hey, our inventory system is actually complete. We have a functional inventory system. I am going to release a bonus video to take care of this issue and some other cleanup that we can do. Originally, that information was going to be in section 4 of the tutorial, but I figured it's better to have it here, all in one sensible location. However, before I go forward, I am going to set this to 100 again. All right, that said, this series has been brought to you by Patreon sponsors. I hope you've enjoyed section 2, by the way, as well. And I hope everyone has a working inventory system. As I mentioned, the series is brought to you by Patreon sponsors like Haynes, Quadmenson, and Rian. If you've enjoyed working on your inventory system, make sure to hit that like button down below. Also, make sure to check out the bonus video that is being released today as well. If you want to be here when we start on section 3, make sure to hit the subscribe and notify icon. I am definitely not editing that out, actually. And if you want to copy this project, consider becoming a Patreon supporter. Patreon supporters at upper tiers get instant access to all project files for ongoing YouTube and completed YouTube series. Patreon subscribers and supporters at other tiers will get access once a project has completed on YouTube. Consider joining our Discord community, link in the description below. All of that said, I look forward to seeing you in section 3 where we work on our equipment system, and I hope that you have enjoyed working on your inventory system, and congratulations on making it through section 2. That said, I'll see you in section 3, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.